From the fields of the American West to the beer breweries that supply millions of people every day, a quiet but powerful grain is at the heart of countless foods, beverages, and industries: barley. Idaho alone is consistently the top barley-producing state in the United States. Barley may not be as famous as corn or wheat, but the supergiant barley harvest is a mind-blowing operation of technology, farming experience, and precision logistics happening every single year in America. Today, we're going inside that world: how barley is grown, harvested, dried, stored, malted, and transformed into food and beer enjoyed across the globe. But before we dive in, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next journey into the industries that build our lives. Barley is one of humanity's oldest crops, cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Barley planting begins early, much earlier than corn. In the northern plains and mountains, farmers head to the fields as soon as the snow melts and the soil reaches planting temperature. GPS-guided tractors pull high-precision air seeders, planting seeds with perfect spacing. Malting barley requires nearly perfect kernels, uniform size, low protein, correct moisture, while feed barley is more forgiving. A farmer's decision depends on soil, irrigation, climate, and market conditions. Because barley matures quickly, in about 90 days, timing is everything. If planting is too late, harvest runs into fall storms. Too early, frost damages seedlings. Throughout spring and early summer, barley grows into a sea of green stalks topped with awns, the spiky bristles that give barley its signature look. Drones scout fields from above, while onboard tractor computers measure soil nutrients and water needs. By midsummer, fields turn golden yellow, signaling that harvest is near. Harvest season typically arrives in July and August. Every farmer watches the fields constantly, measuring moisture with handheld testers. Ideal moisture for harvesting barley is around 12 to 14%, dry enough to store safely, but not so dry that kernels crack. When conditions are perfect, the race begins. Massive Class 9 combines roll into the fields, each costing as much as a luxury home. Their headers glide just above the soil, clipping stalks and feeding grain into the machinery. Every few minutes, the tank fills. But the combines never stop moving. Tractors with grain carts rush alongside them, collecting kernels on the go. Then those carts unload into semi-trucks waiting by the road. The ballet continues hour after hour, sometimes 24/7. As farmers push to finish before a single rainstorm can destroy a crop's market value. Viewed from above, it looks like a highly choreographed army. Machines crisscrossing fields in perfect formation, each movement planned for efficiency. Just in Idaho alone, more than 500,000 acres of barley can be harvested in a single season, keeping these machines running at full power. Freshly harvested barley often has slight moisture differences from one part of a field to another. Trucks haul grain to drying facilities, some located on the farm, others at giant commercial grain elevators. Dryers push heated air through tons of grain, reducing moisture to 11 to 12%. This prevents mold, insect damage, and spoilage. This ensures the barley remains stable, sometimes for many months, until buyers need it. Every kernel is valuable. Grain that is too small, cracked, or protein high will be diverted into the animal feed market. Only the top portion, the most uniform grains, continues onward to the next stage. To make beer, barley must be turned into malt, which begins at specialized malt houses. There, barley is dust, stones, and foreign seeds are removed by air screens, magnets, and vibratory sifters. Rollers separate kernels by diameter. Breweries demand absolute uniformity because uneven grain causes uneven flavor. Soaking triggers germination. Tiny roots begin to break through the husk, and enzymes inside the grain activate, converting starches into fermentable sugars. This is the birth of beer. The steeping tanks are enormous, vertical cylinders holding hundreds of tons of barley at a time. Water cycles in and out for 2 days, raising moisture inside each kernel. Barley spreads across vast germination floors. Controlled airflow and temperature keep sprouts growing slowly and evenly. Workers constantly turn the grains with giant mechanical rakes so roots don't tangle. Once germination reaches the right point, barley is heated in kilns to stop growth and dry the kernels once again. The longer the heat, the darker the malt, creating everything from pale lager malts to deep stout malts. What leaves the kiln is malt, the soul of beer. Thousands of breweries across the United States, from giant operations to tiny craft beer makers, depend on American malt barley grown in the West. Barley farming has become an advanced science. Even though the crop itself is ancient, its farming is becoming futuristic. If you loved exploring the hidden world of barley, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary into the mega industries shaping our planet. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious. After the wheat harvest ends across the United States, an even larger story begins, one that most people never notice. Endless golden fields are left covered with dry stalks, stems, and straw. To the untrained eye, this looks like leftover waste, something to burn, something to clear away. But in modern America, wheat straw is no longer just agricultural residue. It is fuel, it is raw material, it is energy waiting to be unlocked. The United States produces over 45 million tons of wheat grain every year. And for every ton of wheat harvested, nearly the same amount of straw remains in the field. That means tens of millions of tons of wheat straw are generated annually, making it one of the largest untapped biomass resources in the country. Today, we're stepping inside the supergiant wheat straw recycling industry, where farm leftovers are turned into power, panels, pellets, and profit. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deep dive documentaries into the industries that quietly keep the modern world running. Wheat straw recycling doesn't start in factories. It starts in the field, immediately after harvest. Once combined, strip the grain from the wheat plants, long rows of straw are left behind. Farmers face a choice: plow it back into the soil, burn it, or remove it. In regions where soil health allows partial removal, straw becomes a valuable secondary crop. Specialized baling machines move across the fields, compressing straw into massive rectangular bales that can weigh 800 to 1,200 pounds each. A single large farm can produce thousands of bales in one season. These bales are stacked, staged, and prepared for transport. Timing matters. Straw must be collected dry to prevent mold and degradation. Moisture content is carefully monitored, often kept below 15%, ensuring the material can be stored and processed safely. Once baled, the logistics machine begins. Flatbed trucks haul straw to regional aggregation yards and processing plants. In major wheat states like Kansas, North Dakota, Montana, and Washington, entire supply chains exist just to move straw. During peak season, a single processing facility may receive hundreds of truckloads per week, each carrying tens of tons of compressed biomass. Inside the plant, the scale becomes immediately apparent. Giant loaders break apart bales and feed straw into industrial shredders. These machines tear long stalks into uniform fibers, preparing them for further processing. Dust control systems roar constantly, capturing fine particles and keeping the air safe. From here, the straw splits into multiple industrial pathways. One of the largest destinations is bioenergy. Shredded straw is dried, ground, and compressed into biomass pellets. These pellets look simple, but they pack enormous energy density. When burned in industrial boilers or biomass power plants, they produce heat and electricity with far lower net carbon emissions than coal. A single medium-sized biomass plant can consume 100,000 to 300,000 tons of straw per year, generating enough electricity to power tens of thousands of homes. In agricultural regions, straw energy closes the loop. Farms supply waste, and plants return power to rural communities. Another major pathway is industrial fuel. Straw pellets and briquettes are used in cement kilns, food processing plants, and manufacturing boilers. These facilities need constant heat, and straw provides a renewable alternative to natural gas or coal. For heavy industry, switching even a fraction of fuel to biomass can reduce emissions dramatically. But energy is only part of the story. In recent years, wheat straw has become a critical raw material for construction and insulation products. Inside specialized plants, straw fibers are cleaned, refined, and blended with binders to form straw-based boards and panels. These boards are used for wall sheathing, sound insulation, and structural applications. Straw boards require far less energy to produce than traditional wood panels and reduce pressure on forests. Some factories can produce hundreds of thousands of panels per year, each one locking carbon inside buildings for decades. Packaging is another fast-growing sector. As plastic bans spread and demand for sustainable packaging explodes, wheat straw fiber is increasingly used to make food containers, trays, and cartons. Straw pulp is molded into sturdy shapes that decompose naturally, replacing petroleum-based plastics. In high-volume plants, straw is pulped, washed, and pressed into packaging at speeds of thousands of units per hour. Restaurants, grocery chains, and food manufacturers rely on these products to meet sustainability goals. Agriculture itself also reuses straw. Processed straw becomes animal bedding, mulch, and soil cover. After use, it decomposes into organic matter, improving soil structure and water retention. What began as waste returns to the land enriched. Some of the most advanced applications lie in biochemicals and biofuels. Wheat straw contains cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, complex compounds that can be broken down into sugars. Using enzymatic and thermal processes, advanced biorefineries convert straw into cellulosic ethanol, bioplastics, and industrial chemicals. These processes are complex and capital-intensive, but they represent the future of non-food bio-based manufacturing. One commercial-scale cellulosic ethanol plant can process hundreds of thousands of tons of straw annually, producing millions of gallons of fuel without competing with food crops. Across all these pathways, efficiency is everything. Plants track every ton of straw, every kilowatt of energy, every pound of fiber. Automated systems control moisture, particle size, and flow rates. Nothing moves randomly. The goal is maximum value from minimum waste. Economically, the wheat straw recycling industry supports thousands of jobs, from farm operators and truck drivers to plant technicians and engineers. It injects billions of dollars into rural economies and provides farmers with an additional revenue stream beyond grain alone. Environmentally, the impact is profound. Recycling straw reduces open field burning, cuts greenhouse gas emissions, lowers landfill use, and displaces fossil fuels. Each ton of straw used for energy or materials represents carbon that stays out of the atmosphere. Yet, despite its scale, this industry remains largely invisible. Consumers see electricity, packaging, and buildings, not the straw that made them possible. Fields look empty after harvest, but the real work has just begun. From dry stalks left behind by combines to power flowing through grids, panels lining walls, and packaging holding food, wheat straw travels through one of the most complex and underappreciated recycling systems in America. This is not farming. This is not waste management. This is industrial transformation. The supergiant wheat straw recycling industry proves that the future of materials doesn't always come from mines or oil wells. Sometimes it comes from what's left behind in the field. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most powerful hidden recycling systems, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. We'll see you next time, inside another massive industry that turns waste into the foundation of modern life.